All right, it's just a little after 1, so we'll get started. I want to thank you all for joining us for the webinar this afternoon. We're here to talk about the CANSSOC threat feed and partnering to detect and respond to cyber attacks. I am Kevin Parent, the program manager for the Cybersecurity Initiatives program here at Canary. I'm joined today by Indranil Joshi, who's the Security Operations Manager for CANSSOC, and Marte Vezina, who's the Security Solutions Architect / Product Lead for the threat feed at CANSSOC. So a few little things with housekeeping to begin with. The webinar will be recorded and archived, including all of the audio. The video will be archived on the Canary YouTube channel and may be promoted through Canary communication channels. Any text or comments, if responded to, will remain fully anonymous and not be part of the recording. The recorded video will include your voice if audio participation is turned on. I also want to make sure that you know that there is simultaneous interpretation. The webinar will be delivered in English, but you can get the French interpretation in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you click the button there, we'd also like to remind you, if you do have any questions, we will be taking them and answering them at the end. However, please make sure that you put them in the Q&A and not the chat, as it's hard to respond to them if they're in the chat. So please use the Q&A option. So our shared reality, given that we are all connected both by a common network and by the work we do, every device and every organization is very susceptible to cyber threats. We're only as strong as the weakest link that we have in the chain. And I think a really important point here is that cyber security is not just an IT problem, it's an organizational priority. So it is not just on your IT staff to make sure that you're fully protected. A national approach to cybersecurity is only possible when the whole sector decides to align and really coordinates their effort. And we are stronger as a whole than we are as the sum of our parts. The vision we have here is a more secure nation from coast to coast. And with this mandate, or with this idea in mind, Canary launched the Cybersecurity Initiatives program in November of 2020. It is a national collaborative cybersecurity program that serves Canada's research and education sector, built by the community for the community. A national coordination for local impact. We are trying to leverage the natural collaborative nature of the R&D sector. We are looking to be able to really mitigate risks at each layer. We are looking at building on existing initiatives, and we are looking to engage the community to really evolve. The cybersecurity program was built by Canary and with a lot of help from our really great partners. We're here with CANSSOC right now. They've been a great partner in all this. There's also CIRA, all of the NREN partners, CICAN, etc. So there's a list of all of the partners who've been really integral in helping us launch the CIP program. So for you as the institution, what are the advantages for you to join basically the CIP program? It's a way for you to augment the infrastructure that you currently have in place. We're not looking to dictate. We're not looking to replace anything that you may be using already. We're simply looking to offer you a way to augment that. It's a way to measure the impact of cybersecurity initiatives at your organization, collaborate with the national community of security experts in the R&D sector. So we have some really great expertise, and it's a way for us to be able to really share that expertise. It's a way for you to increase your own team's security capacity and expertise. Training and support is integrated into the program, and strengthen the overall security posture of your organization. The great thing is all of this is done for you at no cost. You being part of this is basically your investment. So any of the things that we fund are basically delivered at zero cost to the institutions. So we announced in November of 2020 the first 3 things that we have decided to fund. They are the CIRA DNS D-Zone, which launched November of 2020, and we've had really great uptake on that. The CANSSOC threat feed, which is what we're here to talk about this afternoon, which we've also had some really great feedback on, and we've had some really good uptake so far. It was only launched on May the 10th, so we are still early. And the IDS, which is the replacement to the Joint Security Project, if any of you were part of that. This is looking to launch sometime in July. We have 210 different institutions who are able to be part of the program. And we chose the first 3 very carefully. And while you can choose which ones would apply to your institution, they were really picked because they all serve a different need. For example, the CIRA DNS is meant to block your users from going places where they shouldn't be. Basically going places where there might be some threats that they're not aware of, whereas the threat feed is meant to block anything that's from the outside on the way in. You can basically have it set right into your firewall, and you can actually have it action those different threats it's seeing in real time. So they are 3 different and very unique type services that all serve a different need. I'm going to turn it over now to Indranil, and he's going to take you through some of the threat feed.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So a little bit about CANSSOC. So CANSSOC is part of a shared fabric. Kevin, if you don't mind, go to the next slide. Thank you so much. So CANSSOC wants to be a part of the shared fabric. By that, we mean we want to work in partnership with the institutions mentioned here, including Canary, Enron Partner, Scootio, so on and so forth. With that in mind, we have a motto: better than we can do on our own and always in partnership. So by that we mean we're not, and as Kevin mentioned earlier on, we're not here to replace your existing security tools and technologies and your team. We are here to complement them. We are here to support them. And with that, partnership with all of these organizations is the key to our success. CANSSOC definitely works close with Canary as part of the Cyber Infrastructure Initiative Program. They're funding the threat free development for all the eligible organizations. We also work very closely with the Enron partners, and based on the province where you're located, we'll work with the institution with whatever mechanism they want to deploy the threat feed, be it in partnership with Enron or directly with us. So going into the next slide, which is what is CANSSOC specializing in? So CANSSOC specializes in 2 out of the 5 things here, which are detection and response. So when we say detection and response, we mean, hey, we help you detect the threats and we also help you respond to those threats. By focusing on detection response, we're trying to reduce the expense that the institution or an organization may have to cough up basically towards detecting the threats, and also towards reducing the amount of resources that they need to throw at this particular problem, because we are focused on building our expertise within this space. So everything that we do is framed in that context. So there are a lot of things that we are doing that are coming out, like the thread feed, and also have already come out. So with that in mind, as we grow, as CANSSOC grows, as the participation increases, the emphasis is going to remain to improve the way we do detect and improve the way we respond. With that, we're going to go into trying to answer the question, hey, I already have my security program. How does this fit into that? So if you come to the next slide, if you don't mind. Thank you. So if given that everyone here has falls under some level, some point in this particular frame here, you can have a team. You can have a small team of cybersecurity professionals, or you can have a large team of cybersecurity professionals. The threat feed is designed in a way where, for a smaller team, you can dedicate a couple of hours to implement the thread feed, set it to block, and then expect it to work. It is designed to work with limited to no maintenance. If you're on the other side of the spectrum where you have what resources available, we are here to complement what you already have. So in that case, we do the threat intel search. You don't have to spend time on Twitter to find the threat intelligence, to find those indicators. We do that for you, right? Quick example that I can give you is last year we had an increase in Riot ransomware that was targeting the healthcare and the academic sector in the United States. The CANSSOC team jumped right on that with researching the open source tools and then sharing those IOCs through the thread feed at the time with the members who were already leveraging the tool. So before Riot made the way into Canada, more institutions who were leveraging threat feed had that protection in place on their perimeter firewall. Now, with that said, I will pass this on to Martin, and he will walk everyone through in detail with the threat feed.
Thank you, Indranil. So what exactly is threat feed? So essentially, what we do with threat feed is we source threat intelligence, we process it, and we make it available in actionable feeds that we are providing you, and that you can integrate with different protection solutions. In terms of sourcing the threat intelligence, so we aim to have high quality threat intel, and we want to ensure that this threat intel that we are authorized to share it with all of our participants. So as an example, so we get threat intel from the Canadian government through CCCS, so we get access to the Avantel feed. Avantel feed is not a public threat intelligence feed. It's a feed that's only provided to critical infrastructure for which I've signed a specific agreement. So we've signed that agreement and we are authorized to receive that feed and to redistribute it to all of our members. In addition, we established a contract with one of the leading commercial threat intelligence providers. So we get access to their threat intelligence and we are authorized to reshare it with all of you. One of the goals of CANSSOC is to promote sharing of threat intelligence amongst all of its partners. So one of the threat intelligence source is the partner institutions like yourself. So we encourage you within threat feed to share anything that is happening within your institution with all of us, so that whatever is happening in your environment will be helping to protect So knowing about that, so it'll help all others to protect themselves. And last but not least, so we get open source threat intelligence. So we've established a relationship with Circle.lu. So Circle is the CERT of Luxembourg. CERT of Luxembourg, so what they do, they establish relationships with the CERT of other countries, plus with a lot of large private institutions. So I'd say that about 90% of the threat intel that is circulating within the open source community goes through Circle. So that means that by us integrating with Circle, we get access to all of this open source threat intelligence. Once we get all of this, we bring it into threat feed. And here on the right, so you can see from bottom to the top, from easiest to integrate with threat feed to more complex to integrate with threat feed. So we have at the bottom Sierra DNS firewall. So if you already participate in Sierra DNS firewall, you just have to go in your interface, in your configuration interface, just click one checkbox to integrate with threat feed, and that's it. You are protected, so you will get the benefit of about maybe 40%-ish of the threat intelligence that we generate can be used to protect you if you subscribe to Sierra DNS firewall. Ideal use case is you operate your own next-gen firewall. So next-gen firewall integrated with us, you can get 100% of the benefit. Or if you have more resources and you have an IDS, you have a SIM, or potentially you have your own threat intel platform, you can integrate all of those with threat feed. Next slide, please. Why CANSSOC threat feed? So here we listed like multiple reasons, but I'll make it a bit more practical by using an example, okay? So last March, we had the infamous Microsoft Exchange vulnerability that came out. So let's say at that time you were not subscribing to threat feed. So what that meant for you is that for a period of more than a week, so you had to go on the internet and try to source information regarding that vulnerability. So you had the information that came out of Twitter, you had information that were published by various threat intel suppliers, like let's say like Mendian would publish something, Microsoft would publish something, maybe FBI would publish something. So anytime that something is published, you have to get your hands on it, you have to perform vetting, you have to manually configure your protection devices. So let's say next-gen firewall, you have to manually add an indicator. And it's a process that you have to repeat continuously. It takes a lot of effort. And while you're doing that, it doesn't leave you a lot of time to evaluate your exposure and to do a patching, okay? But let's say at that time, you were subscribing to threat feed. Well, CANSSOC threat feed, so we had our analysts at that time, so we had about the equivalent of 2 FTEs that were actively scouring the internet to get all of the latest information that came out for the period that this vulnerability was hot, so when it was active. So they were consolidating all of the information, they were curating it, and they were making it available in our MISP platform. So if you had configured your next generation firewall, so that meant that your next generation firewall would be continuously updated with the latest indicator, and all of this without any effort on your part. So that left you a lot more time to evaluate your exposure, to do patching, and even to report to your higher ups about what was happening with regard to this vulnerability. Next slide, please. Okay, so in terms of our threat intelligence platform, we rely on 2 open source solutions, but really our core is based on MISP. So this is our central threat intelligence repository. So this is where we have all of our events and their associated attributes. MISP is an established open source solution that has a growing community. So we started using MISP about 2 years ago, and since 2 years ago, so the solution has evolved and the community around MISP has grown a lot. It's an extensible platform, so we own all of the threat intelligence that's on it. It doesn't tie us to any vendor, so it's really great. As a threat feed service participant, you will get access to MISP. So let's say you want to know about the latest threat intelligence, just log into MISP, it's in there. You've seen an indicator in your environment and you'd like to know if we have more information about it, you can log into MISP and you can query it there. If anything happens in your environment, like you'd like to share that with everyone else within the CANSSOC Threat community, you log into MISP and you can create an event, attach an indicator, and that can be very quickly shared with everyone in our community. If we ever publish any information regarding a current threat, what we will do, we will link this information, this, let's say, newsletter that we publish, so we'll link it with an event in MISP. So that means that in our event, so there won't be any kind of static information, so we'll link it to MISP. So whenever you want to see like what are the latest indicator, just go there, go in MISP, and everything will be in there. So if there's anything new, we'll update it in MISP. So that means that you're automatically protected. It's there that you have the latest information available. There's nothing static sitting in emails and nothing in different format that you have to consolidate together. Like everything is in MISP. So from there, once we have all of our threat intelligence, then we bring that into MindMeld. So MindMeld, so we tell you that we're using MindMeld, but actually like it's not that important to you as a participant because you won't have any direct access to MindMeld. What you have access to is the feeds that are getting generated by MindMeld. So, but like how they're produced, it's not that important for you. So those feeds are available in flat file format. This is the format that we prefer for integration. And we also have a Six-Taxi version of our feeds, but they're not as mature. Next slide, please. So what happens in the threat feed service? Well, what happens is the threat intelligence pipeline. So on the left, so we ingest our threat intelligence. Whenever any threat intelligence is ingested, so we perform negative curation on it. Negative curation, it's an automated process that happens about within 10 seconds of any indicators that we receive. We maintain a list of indicators that are related to legitimate services. So in there, so we rely also on existing lists. So we have about 80,000-ish indicators. So let's say Microsoft.com came in as an indicator. So when our negative curation run, we would say, oh yeah, Microsoft.com, that's part of our warning list that we maintain. So we would disable it. So negative curation is to ensure that we don't block any legitimate services that we are generating. From there, we'll go on to our automatic positive curation. Automatic positive curation is how we ensure that threat intel gets very quickly approved to be part of our feed. So automatic positive curation. So when we get threat intel that comes from like reliable provider, such as our commercial threat intel provider, or maybe threat intel that's coming in from CCCS that they tell us is high confidence, we would automatically approve that threat intel to become part of our feeds. For threat intel that's not automatically approved, we have our manual positive curation process. So this is where our analysts would review threat intel that we receive and where they would ensure that they meet our quality requirements. And if they do, they can approve that threat intel. And once approved, it can become part of feeds that we are generating and that you can integrate with your own environment. Next slide, please. So our ideal integration for threat feed is with your next generation firewall. So right now, so this is like the optimal integration, but we will be adding new feeds that are optimized with other types of devices such as SIM. So this is coming up in the next month. But for now, the next gen firewall is our ideal integration. Most of next gen firewall can threat intel feed. Simple to configure, so we put in the slide 1 to 3 hours, but really most cases 15 minutes of config, just set it, forget it. As a benefit, so one of our participants reported that once they did the integration and they activated it in blocking mode, they observed a 30% reduction in malicious connections with little effort. So if you have a Palo Alto network next-gen firewall, you can do the integration through an external dynamic list. You have Cisco firepower, it can be done through an intelligence source. And if you have Fortinet FortiGate, it can be done through an external P connector. So those are out-of-the-box functionality to do that integration, and it's extremely easy and it's very effective. So that's it for my section. I think back to you, Inreniel.
Thanks, Martin. So some few final points. In terms of support, CANSSOC is leveraging the Slack tool. All the data that is in Slack is residing within Canada, so nothing to worry about in that sense. The value that Slack provides, a way in which NREN partners, where applicable, and CANSSOC can collaborate to provide support and share information. You can see the Slack channels that we currently have, but we are looking to add some more to support increased collaboration across participants as we move forward. Slack will provide a way for your team to ask questions to support, and we also use it to share threat intel and additional documentation. When users are added to Slack, they will be asked to agree to a traffic light protocol, so TLP, to confirm that they will not reshare sensitive information. Our support is done Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and a best effort after hours. With support from NREN partners, we are looking to extend that as we move forward. With that, we'll move into the next slide, which is around onboarding. Now, Kevin will, of course, talk about onboarding a little bit more, but I want to focus on what will happen on our end. After your agreement is signed, your NREN partner will engage to set up an onboarding meeting. The onboarding meeting is roughly an hour session where we talk through a few more of the technologies in more detail, and we provide additional information on how they integrate to your firewall. So basically what Martin was talking about earlier. Depending on the relationship, either the NREN partner will run the meeting or a CANSSOC partner will. CANSSOC staff member, my apologies. CANSSOC will create your account to access the platform, so MISP platform, as well as Slack. So threat feed is, Kevin, if you don't mind, next slide. So threat feed is the foundation of actionable intelligence. CANSSOC is looking to develop and deploy other solutions in partnership with NREN to support institutions in their information security needs and to fill those gaps. There are two other main components that the institutions will receive that is not currently included as part of the Canary Threat Feed program: alerting and advisories. These are essential emails or Slack messages related to intelligence. An alert will be targeted to your institution based on something that we have seen that might be targeted to your institution. Advisory is something that we send to all institutions based either on something disclosed by us or other institutions and based on emerging threats. And of course, we strongly encourage any and all institutions to report incidents to CANSSOC. Reporting will allow us to update any indicators you might have in the threat feed to share with other institutions, allowing us to protect the sector. When you report, you will be in complete control of what information is shared. We would start by updating the threat feed. In addition, with approval, we'll send out notice by email or Slack to members that they can search for indicators on their network and receive other information about the threat vectors if available. With permission of the institution, we can also disclose to Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity, so CCCS. By disclosing, CANSSOC analyst team can also provide support on your detection and response. And with that, I'll wrap up the CANSSOC piece and pass it back to Kevin.
Thank you very much. So I'm just going to cover a couple more things, and then we'll get on to the Q&A. So how to sign up. If your organization has already enrolled in the CIP, so if you are currently using the CIRA DNS, or if you've signed the agreement already for the CIP program, your provincial or territorial partner in the NREN will send you a link to the threat feed selection form. After you submit the form, Canary will send you the CANSSOC confidentiality agreement. this is e-signature, so really simple for you to execute. You basically sign the agreement, and then your NREN partner will contact you to coordinate your technical onboarding session. If you have not signed up for the CIP program, the first thing that you need to do is basically contact your NREN partner to confirm that that your organization is eligible. If you are, your NREN partner will send you a link to the CIP participation form, and you can choose the threat feed at that same time. After you submit the form, Canary will send you the agreement to enroll in the CIP, which we call the OCCA, and the CANSSOC confidentiality agreement. You sign and you execute the OCCA agreement, and then you execute the CANSSOC confidentiality agreement. And at that point, your NREN partner will reach out to coordinate your onboarding. So that takes us to the end of the presentation. We'll now we'll open it up to questions. I see a couple questions in the Q&A, so let's get to those first. The first question, hello, how can we get the CANSSOC threat feed? I'm hoping the 2 slides before basically covered that, but reach out to your partner, to your NREN partner, and they should be able to walk you through that that process. The next question is the CCCS considering dark web monitoring from a threat intel perspective? I'm not sure that any of us can speak for CCCS, and they're not on the call.
But Kevin, yeah, I'm not sure. So was that person meaning CANSSOC, or was that person really meaning CCCS? Because if it's CCCS, obviously, well, I don't think so. But if it's CANSSOC, we have a certain level, yeah, or CANSSOC. So we have a certain level of coverage through our commercial threat intelligence provider. So if they see something related to one of our participants, so potentially we can know about it, but it's not, doesn't mean it's really, it's a like 100% coverage, but we have a certain level of coverage.
Okay, so there's a response if we mean is CANSSOC looking at dark web monitoring? There's a certain amount of it that you are doing. If the question is related to CCCS, that's not something that any of us would be able to answer, and we don't have anyone from them from CCCS here on the call today. So any other questions we can answer for you guys? Just gonna check the chat too, just in case. I'm not seeing any other questions at the moment. Just give it another minute or two. While we're waiting to see if any more questions come in, for more information, you can go visit us online, canary.ca, or at canary_inc on social media. If you do have any questions that you think of once we're done here, you can always send an email to cip@canary.ca, and someone will respond to you promptly. Also, once again, please feel free to reach out to any of your NREN partners. They should have most of the information that you're looking for, and if they don't, they can always bring it up with us. So since I don't see any other questions, we will wrap a little bit early and give you some time back on your Friday afternoon. So thank you very much, everybody, for attending. And thank you, Martin and Indranil, for joining us. And yeah, everybody have a great day.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.